Dive isn't meta, your team just sucks. By that I mean I've had a lot of matches where people just don't know how to counter dive, or think that the only way to do it is Penny and Namor, when that is 100% not the case anymore. There have been so many abilities added to this game that are useful against dive, and it's time to expand your horizons. By the way, I'm using dive to refer to playstyle. Most people on here use diver interchangeably with flanker, but I'm referring to actual dive play where multiple people are systemically jumping out targets one by one and eliminating the enemy team. This requires much more pressure than one person swapping to Namor or Penny to try and account for dive. The playstyle that counters dive is Brawl, aka a tightly nipped team responding to divers with "come the fuck here and try it then." What dive is strongest against is Poke, aka fighting from a distance. Anyway, let's move on. Method number 1, zoning and area control. Penny and Namor are area control type characters, as their kit allows them to make space unsafe to tread in for the enemy team when used effectively, and thusly if your teammates play in these unsafe areas, that makes flanking and diving in more risky play, but they're not the only characters who can do this. As of Season 2, Human Torch is one of the strongest DPS in the game right now. One of his key abilities is being able to connect his secondary fire into a shape, the inside of which causes damage for any enemies within it, and also allows him to dive into his secondary fire and decimate someone with the damage. Additionally, most flanking and diving characters are short range or melee, meaning they have to get closer to him to do damage, which puts them at risk due to his primary fire essentially being a shotgun. While he isn't treated like a go-to anti-dive character, there are aspects of his kit that could 100% allow him to do so in the hands of a smart player. Obviously, there are exceptions here, since Spider-Man is a dive-style character that can be pretty devastating for flyers if used correctly. Torch also gets banned a lot due to how strong he is and how annoying he can be to deal with, so he won't always be available for use. But despite that, I think he's a good example of a character most people don't think of as anti-dive despite his kit being useful for it. If you're playing Magic, her Demon is a minor area control ability. I've had matches where I've turned the tide against a Panther and a Spidey duo by swapping to Magic and hassling them just as much as they were trying to hassle my backline, and despite there being two of them, they started acting a lot more scared once I started playing Guard Dog. Magic doesn't have to exclusively be played like a flanker for you to get value, so if you're playing her and there are flankers in your backline, consider asserting your dominance by eating them for breakfast. I promise that it's satisfying. If dive is continuously jumping into your backline, use these area control abilities to make your backline a much riskier place for the enemy to be. If they keep trying and failing, then you get free picks. If they swap off dive, then you don't have to worry about dive anymore. It's a win-win if you find dive annoying. That's it for part 1. Follow for more.